Hello LinkedIn, I hope you all had a very Merry Christmas. So this is Lee Woodrow coming to you live from the UK, and today I'm going to be speaking about applicant tracking systems. So I'm just going to be jumping onto my mobile as well to kind of track this LinkedIn live session. And I'm not sure how many people we've got watching at the moment. But if anyone's jumping in, could you please just tell me, hey, yeah, Lee, you're coming through loud and clear, because I don't know if you guys can hear me or not. And then what I'm going to do in a moment, I'm going to jump into a screen share, and I'm going to be teaching you guys all about applicant tracking systems. What are they? So I can see I've got a bunch of people watching me now. So hi, and if you're there, put a comment down, tell me where you're coming from, so I can give you a quick shout out and maybe tailor my little LinkedIn presentation today towards you. You know, maybe you're using a specific applicant tracking system. You don't even realize that when you're applying for a job through a corporate portal, through a corporate website or a job board, you're not even sure what's going on. What is an applicant tracking system? Where is your CV ending up? So I can see I've got a few people on here now. Thank you very much for joining me. So if you don't know me, my name's Lee Woodrow. I'm a CV and LinkedIn optimization specialist, and I help my clients basically land jobs fast. Anyone who books a package with me and a training session with me, I teach them all about applicant tracking systems, how to beat them, how to tailor their resume or their CV in order to get scored, flag up as relevant in front of a human being, and then ultimately land the interview that you need. So I can see I've got a few people on here now. So where are you all from? Tell me if you're in the UK. Are you abroad? What's going on? Right, coming through loud and clear. Hi, Rob. Rob, hey, thank you very much. Thanks for the comment. I really appreciate that. Right, so what we're going to do, we're going to start. I'm going to bring up my little banner here. We'll get rid of this, and I'll get rid of my other little my little banner at the bottom here. Right, so today's live session is going to be talking all about applicant tracking systems, ATS for short. So what are they? Why do recruiters use ATS? So we'll jump into that in a moment. And I'll also be demonstrating a couple of applicant tracking systems. Also, what are the rules around building a CV, and how do you beat these systems? How do you beat the algorithm? How do you beat the bots so you get through the system and through for human review? And there's various rules that you need to follow in order to do that. And at the end of today's session, I think this is probably going to last around 20-25 minutes. There's a quick question and answer session with me, anything to do with CVs or applications or applicant tracking systems. So yeah, we've got you're in Canada. Excellent. So I'm picking up some people the other side of the pond. Thank you very much. Love Canada. Been over there a couple of times. I went over to the Calgary side to go skiing many years ago. A really cool place. Right, so you know, what are applicant tracking systems? Let's get rid of this, and we'll get rid of this. Right. So basically, in any job in the modern era, people want to improve processes, speed up processes, streamline, make things efficient, and the recruiting game is you know, exactly the same. Yeah, before they were using applicant tracking systems, the recruitment process was very slow, very slow. You'd have a person, a recruiter, physically going through CVs, piles and piles of CVs that are coming in, physically going through them, making sure that the candidates had the right qualifications, the right skill sets, the right training, and then, you know, shortlisting these and passing them through to a technical hiring manager. Well, with the dawn of technology and applicant tracking systems, in came software which could do this job for a recruiter. So ultimately, an applicant tracking system is a system which pulls in CVs or resumes. It extrapolates, passes the information into a recruiter's user interface. So it standardizes everything. And then there are algorithms which can scan the documents. They can tell how many keywords are in a document, and they can tell a recruiter if you are qualified for the job description or not. So ultimately, they are the gatekeeper to getting through to a real human being. And often recruiters have these systems set up so they could say, right, we need at least a 70% match on this job or an 80% match on this job. Only give me the top qualifying candidates. And it all depends on the buoyancy of the market you're in. For example, the oil and gas industry at the moment is still in a slump. It's inundated with qualified and experienced candidates, not enough jobs to go around. So recruiters can be a little bit more picky, and they can set up their applicant tracking systems to be a little bit more stringent, a little bit more strict on who they let through. So let's jump into now a quick screen share, and we're going to talk about various companies and what applicant tracking systems they're using. All right, let me just dump the banner. Okay. Right, I'm going to jump into a screen share now, and you guys are going to have to tell me if you can see my screen share or not. Okay. So this is one of my desktops here. Can you see this? I know I've got Rob Hay. I don't know if you still have. I've got 14 people on here. So this is one of my desktops on this side. Now I'm looking at the moment at the Shell website. So I'm looking at a major corporate website, enterprise level. Usually, companies don't have a HR function until they reach at least, I would say, 100 people in the company. Then they might make a department, which is HR. Prior to that, there would be an operations manager who's kind of doing everything. Now, once you get a HR department, the company might invest in an applicant tracking system. Now, a lot of modern applicant tracking systems, rather than them being in-house, they're outsourced and they're in the cloud. So it's software which is in the cloud. Now, Shell, as an example, if you come onto their homepage, there is a careers tab. And if you click the careers tab, you end up on their careers page. So if I just scroll down, then there's a bunch of jobs down here, and we look at this territory manager in Yorkshire. When I click apply for this, watch what happens. I leave this website, and my web browser opens up another page here, and I'm on a different page. I'm not on the Shell website anymore. And I'm on a system, I'm on a web page, which is brassring.com. It says here, KRBS jobs, brassring.com. Well, I know, because I've been in recruitment in the past, that Brass Ring is recruitment software. So you're basically dealing here, if you apply for this job, you're dealing with a database, a computer system, an algorithm, software, bots, which are going to be scanning your application. This is going to ask you to make a profile, upload your resume or your CV in a certain format. Oh, got someone else jumping in, Glenn. Hi, Glenn. Thank you very much for jumping in there. Right, so let's talk about Brass Ring. Now, Brass Ring is IBM software. IBM, they make lots of different software, and IBM, they make some software which is recruitment software, and it's called Brass Ring. So there's a short video here. I'm just going to play this. It's going to last about 20 seconds, and you get to see the back end now of Brass Ring. Let's look at this.
I can mark the candidates that are the most qualified and view them side by side using Speed Browse. From here, I can mark my key candidates. I then send the candidates to the hiring manager for review using IBM's patented e-linking functionality. Managers review and provide feedback on candidates without having to actually log into the system. This is a big time saver for busy managers.
Right, so let's come back to me. Bring me in and remove this. So that was Brass Ring. Just a little bit in the back end about that. If you want to learn more about Brass Ring, just Google it. Go on YouTube. There's lots of videos on there, tutorials about how recruiters can get these systems set up. But it'll give you a little inkling behind the software which is being used, which is predominantly scanning your CV, your resume, and scoring you. So that was Brass Ring, and this is the software which Shell are using. Now I'm showing you oil and energy company examples because predominantly my network are all in oil and energy. Now I'm going to jump onto another one now. We're going to jump into Chevron. So I'm now sharing, I'm looking at the Chevron website, and what I want to do is I want to find a job. So I'm going to come onto the careers, I'm going to click find a job, and guess what? Again, you end up leaving the Chevron website and you come over to another website which is branded with Chevron, but at the top here we've got careers.chevron.com. So again, this is another applicant tracking system. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to go United States, we'll find a job, apply for a job, Right, now it's taking me through to a software called Workday. So Workday, here we go. This is another applicant tracking system. Again, you're dealing with a database. And how does this work? Well, I'm now going to show you a quick video about Workday. And let's make this big. And we'll just play this. And watch what recruiters can do with Workday.
For everyone in the process, from hiring managers and recruiters to internal and external candidates. Workday Recruiting puts hiring managers in the driver's seat. With insight into what's happening with their requisitions, they can see if there are enough candidates in the pipeline or who they need to move along. They also have a snapshot of a candidate's record and can quickly work through a list of candidates to identify the best fits for their open positions. It's this dynamic nature that makes the application so powerful. With Workday Recruiting, managers can easily scroll through a candidate's details and even open up attached resumes. And everyone on the hiring team can collaborate through the entire process on their mobile device, quickly adding comments that are always in.
Well, just jumping in on that, I mean, if I just scroll back here, we've got like decline and move forward. Now, I had a discussion with a recruiter in the United States last week, which was quite interesting. And they were saying, you know, literally on their mobile devices, they might be going to work on the tube or, you know, getting a lift in. And they're basically, you know, swiping left and right. Yes, accept. Swipe right. No, move on to the next candidate. So it's very, very fast paced. And this can be done on mobile devices. So these applicant tracking systems, they provide the recruiter with apps on their mobile phones that they can quickly, you know, swish left and right with. Now, I'm just going to come away from this screen share now, come back to myself. Now, to beat these systems, what's basically happening was there was another screen. I'm going to find the other screen for you quickly, where it was talking about, here it is, right, let's make that large. Right. So in this screen, you can see that information from a resume or a CV has been passed over to the system, and it's being inserted into the recruiter's user interface. Now you can see that this information is being extrapolated and then listed here. If your CV or your resume is not formatted correctly, this can come over as jargon, or it won't look very nice. And what can happen with your application? It can just go in the bin. So you need to make sure that your resume is formatted correctly. So without further ado, what I'll do now is let's talk about formatting, and let's talk about some rules around how you can beat applicant tracking systems. So, right, let me get my brand back up there. Right, number one, you should use a simple format. Don't go with one of these sidebar layouts, which is really, really complex. There's tables all over the document. There's sidebars, there's graphics. Just stay clear of that. Applicant tracking systems don't like any of that. Usually if information is getting pulled from one document to an online system, to a database, right, it needs to be clearly formatted. Usually everything needs to be left aligned, and you need to use titles for each of your sections. Now, what do I mean by that? I basically mean, and let's go into another screen share here. Right, bring this down here. Right. You basically need a CV which has got clear titles on each section. So you can see these clear titles. Let me make this a little bit bigger here so we can see exactly what we're looking at. So every title every section needs a clear title on it. That title needs to be slightly bigger and bolder. So when an applicant tracking system's getting hold of this, it knows what box to put this information into. So this is either a profile or a summary. Likewise, the key skills, you know, tell the computer system what these bullet points are. So give everything a clear title. So that's just one example there. Right, let me drop that share there. Right, another little rule. Use a key skills section and list relevant keywords. Now, the keywords are always in the job description. So all you need to do is you need to look at the job description, right? Analyze it, look at the sentences they're using, and extract the words, the certain words which are inside the sentences. Now, there are keyword variations between American English and British English. Also, lots of sectors have relevant specific sector keywords. So make sure you use those and you put those in there. Now, another example of, let me bring another example of another resume in. We'll go back to the screen share. So this is another example. This is a shorter, maybe a 2-page resume, which would be used in the States. You see here, I've got a key skills section. Now, these are the keywords which you're going to be putting inside, extrapolating from the job description and popping in here front and center in front of the applicant tracking system and also in front of the recruiter. So make sure you call this section key skills. I wouldn't call it keywords, but you call it key skills. Something I would avoid doing, I have heard some people in the footer, or somewhere else in the document, they write a list of key skills and then they make the section white and then they hide it. So you're trying to kind of beat the applicant tracking system, and I wouldn't do that. There is a certain amount of times that words need to be mentioned. I'll talk about that in a moment. Okay, what else are we talking about? So, yeah, keywords and keyword density. Right, so if you have got a specific keyword, I think, in my experience, and I've been doing this for 11 years now, and I've been successfully making all my clients, beat these applicant tracking systems after I've written their CVs, is I would tend to write a keyword 3 times. So throughout the document. So I would put it in the key skills section, maybe in the summary somewhere, and then somewhere else on the page. So you don't want to be doing it any more than that. And I would probably do that per page. Specifically, page 1 is the most important page. This also works once you get past an applicant tracking system. A recruiter or a hiring manager, their psychological processes are kicking in when they're reading a document. And, if you've got that word stuffed in there too many times, it just becomes, obvious that you're trying to beat the system. So be clever with it, and I would just say do it 3 times. Second thing, spell check. Now, the spell checking is not like, in the day, oh, you must spell check. It's just so obvious. Make sure your grammar is okay and the other spelling is okay. Yeah, well, if you make one spelling mistake, if I'm a hiring manager, yeah, I might forgive you. Maybe 2, I might forgive you, right? People are quite forgiving, but software and algorithms are not forgiving. If they're searching for a certain word and you've got it misspelt several times, you are not going to flag up as relevant. So spell check is really, really important if you're applying for jobs through applicant tracking systems. Make sure you get it right. And like I said with the keyword variations, make sure you get those right as well. Right. Next. Use full names as well as acronyms. So as an example here, a certified public accountant would be a keyword to use on a CV. However, the acronym for that is CPA. Make sure you're using both. And again, you might want to mention that 2 or 3 times on page 1 to flag up as relevant. Now, there's lots of acronyms, lots of abbreviations out there. If you're writing a short story, or you were writing a book or a program, you would probably only want to do the abbreviation once at the top. But on a CV, I look at it differently. You want to do it 2 or 3 times. So you get that abbreviation or the acronym in there several times. Very, very important. And lastly, mainly we're talking about the format. So what I'm going to do, I'm now going to share my screen again with you, and we're going to talk about 2 different styles and formats of resume CVs. And I'll get these up side by side next to each other on one of my desktops, and we'll share one of my desktops. Right. So what we're talking about, there's 2 different styles of CVs. I would say the one on the left is more like a US resume style. This is a 2-pager, quite short and sharp. And the one on the right, this is a 3-page CV, which is slightly longer. But what you're noticing is the titles. All the titles have been optimized for applicant tracking systems. Here, the career history / work experience, we've got 4 words there. So I'm not just saying career history or work experience. There's 4 words which are describing what the section is. So you can do that. When you're talking about your positions, try and get your positions in on one line. So you want the date, you want the company, you want the location and the position, all on one line, just like that. So when this is getting scanned, an applicant tracking system is going to hit that, and it's going to know, it's going to pull out the date, and it's going to know that's a company, there's a location, and there is a position. And then we just want short and sharp bullet points talking about the roles. Further down, there are other sections you can use which applicant tracking systems can hit. IT skills is one. Memberships is another section. And something which I end up putting on CVs and resumes is recommendations, because this ultimately, when you get past an applicant tracking system, you want to sell yourself to the hiring manager or the recruiter. And the fastest way of doing that is providing a review at the bottom of your resume or CV. Right, so has anyone got any questions? I can see that there's a few people still on here, and I don't know if you've got any questions around ATS or different system. Maybe you've been applying for a job. Has anyone who's watching today applied for a job on a job board or a career portal, and they think, oh man, I've just been dealing with an applicant tracking system? Love to hear what sort of systems you've been using. So I'm going to be online, maybe for another 30 seconds, 1 minute. So feel free to ask me any questions you've got. Like I say, my name's Lee Woodrow. I'm a CV and LinkedIn optimization specialist. I run my little company called Bigger Fish from the UK, just outside of London. If anybody out there needs assistance with beating applicant tracking systems, with creating a CV, resume, cover letters, optimizing your LinkedIn profile. I mean, LinkedIn is a presentation for a whole other day. LinkedIn optimization is key, is paramount if you're going to be applying for any jobs, because I would say at least 80% of recruiters, if you apply for a job, they go straight to LinkedIn to check out who you are, and they social sleuth your profile to check you out, make sure everything marries up before taking you through to the shortlist. So thank you for listening today, and I hope you all have a very Merry Christmas, and I wish you all a Happy New Year. Thanks very much, guys. Catch you all later.